Stream offline. Oh, here we go. This took a while.
Okay, Ben, I see live streaming. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I have to do one more thing to record it.
Ah.
And I'm trying to remember what that is. Every month. Come on now.
So what, the live stream just sends it out somewhere, or what's the
so the process is you start up Jitsi Meet, and then on the left-hand side of Jitsi Meet is a little menu, and there's a little play button that says Start Stop Live Stream.
Right.
So you click that, but it wants a key for what to do with it. And the key you get is from my YouTube page. When I start up Creators Studio, it's not any special software that I have. It's all YouTube's software. So I just copy the key off of there, and
it's a YouTube live stream.
Well, here let me stop screen sharing here and entire screen. Yeah, okay, here.
Whoa!
Whoa! Isn't that cool?
Goodbye.
Yeah. Oh no! Look at that. So, yeah, one tab was Jitsi Meet. That was what we were on that did the infinite windows thing. But this is my YouTube dashboard, and I'm in YouTube Creator Studio, I believe. And so it at the bottom of the encoder setup, it's got a server URL and a stream name and a key. And all I do is click reveal on that, and then it'll show the key so I can copy it and then go over to Jitsi right here. Again, here we go. And on the left side of Jitsi, there's a little play button, and you click play there, and then that asks you for the key, and then you just paste it in there, and we're good to go. So that's all I'm doing there. And I also need to change the title from Wooden Computer Open Source to Spectre Meltdown. Mailed.
Capital P in Spectre.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
No, don't make it a capital P.
Oh. All right. There we go. Great. All right. Do you want to leave the site? No, stay.
Well, I've always wondered how he did that.
Yeah. And I'm still looking for the record button. Maybe it's on the dashboard. Da-da-da. No. Live streaming. Ta-da. That's where Google moves the buttons around on me every time.
Well, it's still beta.
Optional features. Answer stream. No. That's not it. Stream options. Enable DVR. No, I don't think that's it. Advanced settings. Recording. I think it's just set to, oh wait, recording date today. There we go. I think that does it. Oh, stay. Okay. I'm gonna stop messing with it.
Top right, save changes.
What? Top right, save. Oh yeah. Info and settings. That is. Well, that's ingestion settings. Oops. Nope. Can't do that. Go back. Run away. Oh boy. We're gonna do some chopping up of this video. Okay. YouTube Studio Beta.
Why is there never a big red button?
Yeah, it really, really does need that. Okay. Oh, this you again. All right, I'm gonna stop that live streaming and go to screen 2. Share that. Oh no, I did the. Let's just do an application window. There we go. Got a lot of windows open. I think that's it. Sure. Are you seeing the full screen one or the editing one?
We're seeing the editing one. Double click to end the scene.
Yeah, that's not what I want. Well, yeah, I suppose I could. Let's just do that. All right, didn't like that. Let me try again. All right, now you see the full screen one?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, welcome everybody. This is an ad hoc presentation, as you can tell. Jason and I.
You're not live streaming right now, just so you know.
Oh, we are. We're not. Oh, shoot. Yeah, we are.
Yes? Oh.
It's still, stream health is good. What told you that? Yeah, it's good.
Jitsi doesn't have, it had live streaming beside the HD, but you know, whatever.
Really? I'm sharing. I might have 2 live streams going on now. Because the Streaming health on YouTube was fine. Okay. All right. Whatever. All right. So. Oh, yeah. All right. So anyway, Spectre Meltdown happened. Meltdown is an Intel only processor chip bug where, um, well, I'm gonna go straight to the XKCD comic and just let you all read that for a bit. Oh, I killed my live stream by starting it twice. No, it's still good. It's still good. All right, I'm gonna trust it. Yeah. So basically, Intel, ever since the Pentium 4 came out, Intel made a big deal about their processor can do speculative execution, where the chip basically guesses at what the next execution instruction is going to be, and then chooses that, and then just deletes the pointer for the other instructions. But as I understand it, that's all they did, because it actually costs CPU cycles to actually erase the instructions that are already present. And it turns out that programs in userland can still see those instructions, and that's a bad thing, because now all your base are belong to us, basically, and has and because of that, any cloud infrastructure was compromisable. Ford can see Chevy, and Chevy can see BMW, and if you're on that same hypervisor, so not a good situation at all. And we could talk about the actual extent of the compromises that are possible, but basically it was in the heartbleed category of bad things that can happen with computers, and so now we're just dealing with the aftermath. And what does that look like? Well, I'm trying to advance to my next slide. Come on. Oh, shoot. Yeah, which is basically all we can do is patch everything. And the hypervisors are by far the worst things to patch, because well, I mean, just in my organization's case, it's going to take 2 weeks to patch all the hypervisors that we have, and it doesn't really matter if we patch the operating system without patching the hypervisors. So we got to wait for 2 weeks until this whole thing blows over and the underlying hypervisor can get to a good state, so that you're not building your house on sand. Is that the way you understand it, Jace?
Oh, I was just about to ask, does it really matter that you don't patch your guest operating system? Because it seems like that's at least a bit of a help, right? Didn't it, like, if you upgrade your kernel on your guest, that doesn't look for those instructions? Is that
From everything I read, it helps a little bit, but not. But it's still.
But it slows it down though, right? Because it's
it doesn't close it down because you're building your house on sand, and until that hypervisor is patched, then it's quicksand.
Well, doesn't it matter the type of hypervisor you have? I mean, because obviously not all of them are the same.
Right.
One of them expose the actual hardware, where others sort of virtualize, so don't actually expose the CPU to the, like VMware. I don't know, like newer VMwares. I know older ones didn't actually expose CPU instructions because it would just create like another layer. So if you basically patch your VMware, it doesn't matter what you do with the guest operating system as long as your host is patched.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a good point. It does matter. I guess it would matter what kind of hypervisor you have. I haven't played with Zen at all, so I don't know how it does things. I just deal with KVM and VMware, and really just on the user side, not really operating the hypervisor on the back end. So there's got to be other people here that are more knowledgeable about it than I am. So if anybody really knows, they can speak up now.
So according to VMware's knowledge base articles on this, because it's a type 1 hypervisor and other factors as well, it is not susceptible to meltdown, but it is susceptible to Spectre. And so the theory being that it is less susceptible to the attacks that would be thwarted and be launched using the meltdown technique versus Spectre. That being said, there is still risk of issues that could be. Spectre's pretty bad too, but yeah, the theory being that Zen and some of the others were more vulnerable.
Yeah. And so I'm glad you brought that up. So there's a difference between what's happening with Meltdown versus what's happening with Spectre. Spectre affects all the chips designed since 1995, so I've read. So AMD was free from Meltdown, the Intel vulnerability, because they don't do speculative execution, but they are vulnerable to Spectre just because of the way chips were designed since 22 years ago. And does anybody know? I've spent most of my time with Meltdown, and what I know about Spectre is what I just told you. So can anybody help us out on Spectre?
Yeah, I'm not sure I know the difference between the two because they came out at the same time, and everyone says, patch your BIOS.
Yeah.
So I don't know maybe that would be a good starting. Well, not starting place because we're already in the middle of the conversation. But what are the difference between the two?
Well,
I think Meltdown, that's why they call it Meltdown, because it basically just melts the barriers between processes, where Spectre is more like it can read other processes, like the actual secure memory. Even if you have like a securely built process, Spectre can basically break down the wall. Well, not really break it down. It just can read the other memory by just how it's allocated.
Yeah, there's Spectre is there's no separation or no effective separation between kernel code and user space. So that's the problem. And then Meltdown was was based on Intel's decision to do speculative execution, for the last 10 years basically, and
Now,
since around 2005, I would say.
Is Meltdown also? Is it like the early ARM chips? I heard.
Well, I mean,
which one is it that?
It's not. No, it's well.
Nothing.
It's not ARM.
Meltdown is Intel specific.
Yeah, Meltdown is Intel specific, and you might have heard that Intel has had a 30% processor advantage over AMD for the last 10 or 12 years. Well, there was a reason for that, because they were cheating. they were guessing at what the next instruction would be, and not worrying about how much extra power that was going to require.
So I think that the speculative part was ARM, the early ARM. Current ARM, no, right? Oh, wait.
No, it's Intel.
Yeah, Meltdown is Intel, and Spectre has been verified and proven on ARM and AMD and Intel.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So, Intel was getting all that speed advantage by doing the speculative execution, and AMD made a good decision and decided not to do that. So, consequently, AMD's stock price took off the next day, and Intel started diving. But then we learned that AMD was in every chip, ARM or Intel, what have you, are vulnerable to Spectre. So yeah, I mean, and comments on this have been wide ranging. Intel came out and says everything's functioning as designed. That was the Intel marketing flunkies, and Linus's response was, "Hey, this is a real problem, and instead of trying to protect your stock price and while your CEO is selling all the stock, which actually happened, the Intel CEO sold all his stock in November, knowing all this was coming down the pike." And now he's being investigated by the SEC. But Linus is saying, "Hey, let's fix the problem instead of writing PR blurbs." So it would be hard for Intel to look worse in this, from my perspective. But
Well, it seems to me that the idea of speculative execution is not necessarily a bad idea.
It is if you're looking to not burn up your laptop's battery in 30 minutes.
But if you're underusing your CPU, why not use all the rest of them to make the process faster? I mean,
you're doing like 5 computations for every one that's needed.
Right, but after 8 cores,
in a desktop or a server wouldn't really matter much, but I guess in a cell phone, it's kind of like you don't really want to use the extra cycles.
Yeah, I mean,
if you think about it, on a server, if you can, the faster you can give a result to a computation, the faster you can be ahead.
Yeah, and that's what they were doing. But again, they were leaving all the results of that speculative execution in user land, and so.
Yeah, now I agree with that. What I'm saying though is I think that the speculative execution is not a bad idea. The implementation of it, however, was done poorly in that user space can get to it. So, but I don't think that the idea of it is necessarily a bad thing. I got 8 cores on my laptop, and I'm hardly ever using all of them at the same time. Why not use them all at the same time to speculate what's going to happen next, so that my browser goes a little faster? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is not bad. It's you just have to implement it securely.
Yeah. Yeah, the protection between kernel memory and user space that's got to be a the Chinese great
Yeah.
Great Wall.
But again, like going back to your laptop, do you really want that happening while you're on battery?
No, I don't.
So
Yeah.
it's like,
And I think that was the difference between the Pentium 3 and the Pentium 4, because the Pentium 3 was a Centrino, and it was designed for laptops, and it didn't do all that speculative execution, so it had consequently a much longer battery life. And then Pentium 4 didn't care; it just burned up everything, all the power that you supplied it. Yeah, so. So yeah, it's crazy, and Windows, it affects Windows people, it affects Mac people, users, and Linux, and everybody with an operating system, basically.
Well, let me pose this question, because I was thinking about this for a while. Let's say you run a firewall on an Intel chip, right? I mean, firewall, you don't really execute. I mean, you execute the firewall code, but you don't execute anything else. Hopefully, because if you execute something else, that's a problem with the firewall itself. So, would those be safe from meltdown? Right? Because I mean, really, meltdown is user code being executed, and any unprivileged user can basically read whatever is inside the CPU. So theoretically, you could, with a certain speed, you could just dump the entire kernel.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, a firewall running Intel, where you don't actually execute code on it, or what code you have, you'd be safe.
Well, what kind of firewall is it? Is this inside the chip? Are you talking about? Or are you talking about
like an actual
the net filter?
Like a Netfil or a pfSense, or like you have an appliance that basically you have internet comes in, and then you got your home network behind it.
Yeah.
See, and that kind of runs on an Intel chip, right?
Yes. Yeah, but I think it's under the covers though that we're.
Yeah, but still, it's like
that firewall
needs to run malicious, like the malicious code on on the actual machine. So if nobody has privilege to run anything on your machine, see, and the same question goes to, like, let's say a web server, right? You're just serving out pages, right? I mean, if no one actually has the possibility to execute code on your actual machine. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you send a request and you get a reply, but that's not really executing random code. You know what code's being executed on your server.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I don't think that's a vulnerability as far as Meltdown and Spectre are concerned.
Yeah. The initial stuff I read about who was actually vulnerable were cloud providers, and anybody that had bought the or drank the Kool-Aid and moved everything to the cloud. So your stuff is all running on a hypervisor. That's when somebody else could read all your stuff because of this vulnerability.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously on a cloud provider, it makes sense because you log in and run your own code on the hypervisor yourself. So you can just run the code. But if you have like your own physical hardware in the data center that just serves out web pages, I mean, that doesn't really is not really vulnerable to any of these two.
Right. Yeah.
Until you have someone writing code, like goes in and writes the PHP or something to execute it on your chip, and then you get to that point.
But that's the insidious part. If you had a web server that allowed or that used JavaScript anywhere, somebody with a piece of JavaScript inside an image could execute code on the machine that it's running to, basically compromise the whole, kernel memory. Now that would be just that would be just this laptop here that would be affected. So it wouldn't compromise the whole server unless somebody was running Firefox on the server itself. And that, of course, that's always a bad idea. So
I think I recently saw Firefox patches for Spectre.
yes, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mahai, because it has to be patched in 3 different places. It has to be patched at the browser level. It has to be patched on the kernel level, right? And then there's also microcode patches that came out that I saw in the Oracle repositories that also have to be fixed. So yeah, it's up and down the stack that you got to apply the patches. Is that what you saw, Jace?
I haven't been looking, so I don't know. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
And Jace's servers are at www. Yeah, what a mess. Well, anyway, yeah, that's why I say it's in the Heartbleed territory for bad things that can happen to computers.
All right, so we have a question on our floor here.
Oh, we do. Okay.
And that is, when did microcode come into being? And I guess that's like firmware. What'd you say? 386. I don't remember it. 46. Well, has it been around forever?
Isn't that like the Pentium line?
Because
I think it's, and this is just like me speculating based on a video I saw on Cyrix. I don't know if you guys heard of the Cyrix CPUs, where basically these guys reverse engineered the Intel socket back in I think it was in the 386 days.
Yeah.
And before, because it's like they would give you like faster CPUs because they wouldn't use the Intel microcode.
Yeah.
So I think it's 386.
Did you say Cyrix or did you mean Compaq?
No, Cyrix.
No, he meant Cyrix. Yeah. I remember that.
C-I.
No, it was C-Y-R-I-X, I believe.
Oh yeah, C-Y-R. Yeah. Yeah, it's like this. I think now VIA has them. VIA. They bought them like way back because they kind of, went under. But I mean, from what I saw, they were like the chip to have if you don't have Intel money, because you could just replace the Intel chip on the same socket with a Cyrix.
I did it again.
And you'd get like the boost instead of spending the hundreds of dollars for an Intel upgrade.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was in the 386 days, and even and I think that's when Intel started with their microcode.
Yeah.
And then they slowly, they kept it, I guess, after that.
Yeah, I'm actually looking for a YouTube video that I want to publish to the list about how big the x86 instruction space is. I mean, it's ridiculously big. It's like if you flipped every bit on the Intel instruction space, you would like boil the oceans or something. It's like that. I mean, it's just monstrous. So any typical instruction could be located at any, address in that range, and you would basically never find it if you were just, looking for it iteratively or something like that. But one guy at a conference actually did devise an algorithm to try to find these rogue Intel instructions, and it was probably the best hour I've spent watching a YouTube conference video. So,
so Ben, the other interesting thing that I found about this vulnerability is the timing at which it came out.
Yeah.
I think someone else there in your room was mentioning that it was disclosed at one point. Everyone sold off stock. But yeah, this supposedly, according to information that I've seen, Intel started disclosing this to other vendors and other companies in the technology arena back in October, and put them under embargo and things like that to not disclose and talk about it. So that's why you saw a lot of patches, a lot of vendors already saying they were already patched and taken care of. Unfortunately, but then the embargo technically ends next week. So a lot of the companies that have been silent on it thus far should be actually saying more about it then. I know in my day job, we've actually reached out to some of our contacts at both Intel and Microsoft, and they are being very hush-hush about it and not really saying a lot about it until next week because of that. Even though it's already been disclosed in public, they're legally bound not to talk too much about it. Yeah, that's why Amazon was already saying that they already patched all their Zen stuff and all their other custom hypervisors. They'd already taken care of that earlier.
Yeah, and I heard that the Intel CEO starting to get investigated by the SEC, and I actually couldn't believe that because they haven't been doing that for the last 10 years since the financial crisis, and it's just astounding that they're starting now.
Yeah, but I mean, how obvious is that he just dropped $36 million in stock?
It was way more obvious during the financial crisis, and every single bank just got let off scot-free. They picked one hapless dude and tried to blame everything on him, and that was it.
Oh, you're talking about what's his name, Madoff?
Well,
I think that was like the investment bank, Madoff.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff, but he was in a different class. I'm talking about banks specifically, but yeah, they tried to blame everything on a dude named Fabrice Touré, some 26-year-old trader in France. He did it? Oh, really? Okay. Thank you. So, I'm going to find this. Does anybody have any other info or insight about?
Yeah, I was reading articles today that the Meltdown or Spectre patch for Microsoft is basically hosing their Windows OS on AMD chips. I've seen a few articles today.
Yeah.
Which I thought it's interesting because, So, yeah.
Here it is.
And it's like some articles are also, oh, they're breaking their laptops. And I'm like, no, it's just Windows that's busted. The laptop's not bricked.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to talk.
Sorry. All right. So yeah, Black Hat this year, 2017 Black Hat. Hold on. Let me share my. Screen. Hold on. Application window. Go. Where'd you go? Sure. Okay, can you see this dude?
Yes.
Yes, got it.
Okay, yeah. This one I'm tempted to play it right now, but it's over an hour long. But his name is Dumbass. I pronounced it wrong. It's Domas.
Okay. Well, what's the video name, I guess?
Breaking the x86 ISA. And yeah, he just
Talking about breaking the x86 instruction set architecture, I think it should be a pretty fun conclusion to a really cool black hat. First off, my name is Christopher Gomez. I'm a cybersecurity researcher at a place called the Battelle Memorial Institute. I really like working here. I get a chance to encounter a lot of really difficult problems. But what I think I like the most is that with the problems and people I work with on a day-to-day basis, I actually get a lot of really neat ideas on fringe areas of cybersecurity that I can sort of explore in my free time. So that's what I want to talk to you about today. It is a little side project I've been working on and off for the last few months called
Hey,
Sandstorm.
Ben,
So this whole
that's a
thing
little
comes
tinny
down
for us to
to
hear.
I'm sorry?
It's a little tinny, so I can't quite make out what he's saying.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, send the link to the list.
Sure. All right. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
I killed it. Ah!
So
Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear us.
I can hear you.
Has anyone there or anyone here in Greenville, has anyone done any performance testing to know or to see what the impact is on, both VMs as well as bare metal once the kernel and OS level stuff has been patched? Anyone tried that out?
I have not.
I did read where Phoronix, the hardware testing guy, tested containers and found out the containers weren't hardly impacted at all, like maybe 1 or 2%, not nearly the 30% that was originally forecasted by what I think it was GNU.
Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of testing, but from the limited testing that I have gotten to do, I found that Linux actually is more severely impacted performance-wise than Windows, and just testing on VMs. And then once I patched my hypervisor, the performance was actually made worse after both the hypervisor and the guest were patched. Still never got quite up to the 30% number that everyone was talking about, but like it got up to like 19 or 20% for sure.
Wow.
But then Microsoft's had more time to fix it than Linux has, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Microsoft probably had since October to work on it, where
Totally.
they just made aware and Intel dumped a bunch of stuff on them.
Your stuff did
Oh, I don't know.
too, I think.
I don't know.
I think I saw that Microsoft sent out a replacement patch for the last
Oh, yeah?
patch
Oh, cool.
today.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, because they broke the blue screen with the AMD processor.
They blue screen. Oh, that's right. They blue
yeah.
screened AMD. No, they bricked them. They bricked AMD.
Yeah, that's right. AMD has really been affected badly because, I mean, first we were talking about they're not affected at all, and then they are affected, and now some of the machines just end up being bricks. So it's been a real seesaw for AMD.
But I was did they really break the AMD machines? Because all I read is basically you're stuck on the Windows logo. Well, that's not really bricking a machine. At least in PC world. Now, I guess a cell phone, yeah, but
The way I understood it was it bricked the BIOS.
Yeah.
No, is that not right? Okay. Maybe I'm fantasizing about something. I don't know.
I mean, that was one of the things I was reading today. I wasn't too sure because, see, like, you know, all the articles on Engaged and whatever other tech news, you know, they're saying, yeah, this brick, but you're stuck on the Windows load screen. But that's not really brick because you can still go into the BIOS because Windows logo screen, that's after the BIOS loaded.
Yeah, so apparently the register is publishing that that KB 405-6892 is the one that kills Athlon chips, AMD Athlon chips. Microsoft Spectre Fixer Rex AMD. Okay.
Which I think is close to what I said, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess what my thing is that you could always load Linux on them and still use them. See, it breaks the OS because it says these some AMD with the Windows startup logo. See, it's right there, the very first paragraph. Oh,
sorry. Hold on. I'm going to try to. Our screen.
I guess the reason I'm asking because maybe you guys read it differently. See, because the very first paragraph, that's what it says to me.
Are you seeing that article that I'm showing?
I'm seeing lkml.org.
Really? Okay. Oh. Sorry. Now are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I've got my screens all mixed up.
Man, I don't know. How do you read that first paragraph? Because to me, it's like if you're stuck on the Windows logo, you're already past the BIOS.
Well, is that not in the BIOS now, or in not BIOS, the EFI, the UEFI?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're already past it, right?
The firmware, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how you fix that.
What?
You can't really.
Well, I mean, I guess on a server that runs Windows, no. But I mean, on a machine, right? I mean, if you're stuck on the Windows logo screen, you're already past the UEFI and everything. See, so you can always just pop the hard drive out, put a Linux hard drive in,
Yeah.
and boot up, and your machine's back up and running.
Yeah.
See, I guess what my point is that, you know, they're calling them bricks, but they're not really bricks.
Yeah.
Because bricks, what I understand by bricks is basically the done. It doesn't matter what you do
Yeah.
with
Take it to the landfill.
It's like you're done. You might as well melt it. Right? But that doesn't really read to me that way.
Well, what I'm proposing, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but my proposition is that the EUFI boot screen is a Windows logo, and so that's all in the firmware, the EUFI, and then that bootstraps into the disk.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know.
I don't know because I know that within the last several years that you know, if you want to boot into Linux, you have to do something to the UEFI part. Well, that's a partition on a disk. Huh?
Well, I always thought the UEFI is kind of like it's just like in a way like the BIOS, like the old BIOS, but you have signed keys. You actually need signed keys from the hardware providers, and in order for the BIOS or the instruction set to recognize your operating system as valid executable code.
Right.
Because see, because I know with my new laptop, you know, when I installed, I popped out the Windows hard drive, popped in a blank one, and you know, USB with Ubuntu on it, and the disk, and it booted as a UEFI boot. Right,
but I think that's because Ubuntu went to Microsoft and said, we want to be recognized as a valid OS. How much money do you want? Something like that.
Or yeah, but still. See, my thing is that I don't think, because once you pop out the hard drive, I mean, what would Microsoft still have to do with the chip, right? Because I mean, Windows it's on your hard drive. It's not really loaded as a firmware.
That's just it. They have an arrangement with Dell, and they have an arrangement with Lenovo and with HP, and they say, you know, your boot screen for the UEFI has to have the Windows logo on it. I don't know. I don't have an Athlon system to be able to test this out and tell you for sure.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. But
yeah.
Okay. Well, I really hope they don't just break.
I also don't have a Windows box, so I can't test that part either.
Yeah.
Well, so change topic. Motion to adjourn.
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know.
I brought in a Raspberry Pi 3 if you want to see it. Have you already seen one?
Let's see it.
Okay. Where did I put it? Oh, there it is. It fell on the ground. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. All right. So this is a case for it. I bought the cases along with the motherboard, but you can take off the top, and it's a really simple case. It's just got you can pop off, and the case was like $10, you know, to add to the $35 Pi. So you can take these sides off. Everything comes apart, and this power supply right here. Make sure you get the 2.5 amp power supply that comes with that is supposed to come with it from Raspberry Pi. You can see it's got a little micro SD card there, but I initially tried to power it with a 1.5 amp power supply, and it was not having it at all. And a Raspberry Pi does not have a regular BIOS like a regular computer. You just got to flash an operating system onto the chip right there, and it boots from that. And if it doesn't, all you get is like a little. If it's connected to a display, you'll just get a little
Windows logo.
What?
You'll get a little Windows logo. Is that what you're saying?
No, you'll get a little.
That was a joke.
You'll get a window and not a Windows one, but it'll be, you know, about 1 inch square in the top right hand of your screen, and you're just supposed to know that you're underpowered or something like that. So there's a bit of a learning curve to go with these Pis, but you can see it's got 4 USB 2.0 slots, a 1 gig. I'm not sure about the 100 megabit. Okay, yeah. It says it's 100 megabit Ethernet. You've got headers for, I think that's that's a header for some kind of ribbon cord. And then on this side, you got the power supply right here, HDMI, and headphone jack. And I'm pretty sure you can mess with the headphone jack to not just be a headphone jack. You can, output all kinds of analog and digital.
What's your plan for it?
I'm sorry, what?
What is your plan for it?
So you see the Velcro tape on the back. With my big screen TV, to play, and this is really old school, I know, but to play CDs in our household, we'd have to actually get my wife's 8-pound laptop from Dell and bring it over to the TV and put in the DVD and play it that way. And I was like, well, this is ridiculous. So I put a Velcro strip on the back of the TV and put Velcro, the other side of the Velcro here, and just plug that on there, and then connect it to a portable DVD player that I had, and also Velcro that to the back of the TV, and basically turned a dumb TV into a smart TV. So that's what I wanted to happen. The doggone thing will not boot up. I don't know what I'm doing.
You should really look into OSMC for it, which is basically Linux with Kodi on the same.
Well, that's what this is. This is the Kodi operating system on this little chip right here.
Okay, so you loaded it.
Yeah, and Kodi will not boot up. And first I thought it was the power, so I went from a 1.5 amp power supply to a 2.4 amp power supply to a 2.5, and it still won't boot with a 2.5. So obviously I'm doing something else horribly wrong. So anyway, I get frustrated by hardware problems and software problems. It's about as often as everybody else.
Hey Ben, did you do a DD or a CP?
I did a DD, but I used Mac, or I used the OS X instead of Linux, so maybe that is my...
You do know that Raspberry Pis come with a built-in micro OS?
I don't think so. I think I would have found it. What?
Mine did. See, if you take out the SD card and you power it up,
yeah,
it should come up. You should have like a hit shift arrow up or something on it.
Yeah.
And what it does, it gives you the option to, I forgot what it's called.
All right, here, let's try this. I got a display here.
You have a keyboard?
And I got something happened. Oh.
Because you just disconnected.
No, I just, like, yeah.
MacBook's like, oh, like,
my Mac is like, what?
I'm free.
Escape. All right, I gotta replug again just for a little second. Okay, I'm just trying to mirror my display so I can get back to zero. But I was going to turn the laptop around to show you what actually happens when you have a bad Pi load. Well, I got.
Oh look, you got the spinning ball.
I just got a spinning ball. Thank you, Apple, for the spinning ball. Oh, now I got a giant pointer. Okay, that's not gonna work. Sorry. All right. Well, if I figure it out, then I'll tack it on the end of the video, and you can I can watch it later. But right now I'm just kind of fumbling. So Do we have anybody else with another topic to present?
Any requests for next month or offers for next month? Please.
Hold on. You're kind of tinny there, so I don't.
Sorry, I was asking the room and that room if anyone has any topics for next month.
Next month, yeah.
Offering of the topic or requesting a topic, so that it's not the day before and you and I, Ben, say, hey, what are we going to talk about?
Well, Mahai says he did a presentation for the security group here that people like. So
that's about Git.
I
don't know if anybody cares about.
It's about Git. Have we done Git in a while?
I did it sometime last year, right?
Okay.
Early in spring, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
It wasn't that long ago? Oh, maybe we didn't connect to y'all, maybe. Do you not remember it, Ben?
My memory is down to about 4 days.
August.
Yeah, honestly, I remember Mahai's presentation, but that's because I was at that security meeting.
But it's security related, though, right?
No.
Not really.
Oh,
No, it's just here's Git.
Would y'all be interested in it? I wouldn't mind another perspective personally.
Yeah. Okay.
Because just because I gave a presentation doesn't mean I know everything about it. Right?
I know that one.
I know that for example, I know there's this command called splice, where you have an old version and a current version, and it goes midway between. I can't remember it, but it's like you got like 20 commits, and the bug happened sometime between those 20, so it goes into the middle, and if you find the bug, then you go before, and if it's not there, then you go after. That's sort of it's like split or half or what's the command? I can't think of it, but there's a Git. Is it splice?
Merge.
No. It's I don't know. Something like, I'm going to have him get a book. By the way, y'all, in Greenville here, I have books on the back table. Feel free to take as many as you like. They were going to go to the landfill. So, well, motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Thank you, Ben. Appreciate everything, and good to see everybody back there.
Yep. No problem. We'll see you next month.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye. Finally got my bar back.
Disconnect them.
Well, disconnecting what got me in the problem. The first. Oh wait, I can do this. I can do system preferences. No, I can't do that.
I'm saying shut down your browsers and stuff. Here, let me see that.
Oh yeah. All right, so
You have a keyboard?
you can plug it down there.
Because otherwise you can't do squat with it. We could go and try to ask the library for USB keyboard because it's not like. But yeah. See, it's this comes up, but after this, you should have a different screen. See, because right now it just goes through like a boot sequence.
I'm just not waiting long enough. But I'm pretty sure.
I bought one last year, and loading stuff on it. It's as easy as go down a list and select which one you want to load.
Really?
And yeah, it's you even boot it up with this. It's kind of, I forgot what the actual OS that's loaded on it. It's like some
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
harness or
OS.
bootstrap or something like that, some name.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, really, and if it's connected to the internet, it's even that easier because it just goes out and downloads it. You just have to sit on it and wait, and it downloads, and then it installs on your SD card.
Right.
And it says, "Hey, do you want to use the whole memory of the SD cards?" And you're like, "Yeah, done."
Well, that's a Pi 3, so it
Yeah,
should
no.
have all that stuff.
No, I've got. I mean, that's exactly what I have. Is just a different case.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's what I loaded. Like, OSMC or something. I think that's what it's called.
OSMC, yeah. The Source Media Center.
Yeah.
But that's
which
what
is
Kodi
basically
isn't it?
Kodi, but it's
Yeah.
on, for Pi.
Yeah, so that's
try it.
all I get. So yeah, I guess you could unplug it and then take out the card and see what happens. So tiny. All right. Put you in there.
Come up with like buttons pressed with this thing.
It kind of seems like there's a jumper that's shorting something. You know what I mean? There's not much there to play around with. Yeah. And the red light seems normal, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm on the actual chip, so.
I mean, when I use I think when I used the 1.5 amp power supply, it was actually blinking.
Well,
Hope I didn't fry it.
I actually, no. See, I booted mine up with a 1.5 amp, and the only thing I got is that, your Raspberry Pi is running in low power mode.
Yeah,
So if you
okay.
do anything more intensive, it's just going to shut down
Right.
because it doesn't have like energy management built into it. That's so good. Yeah.
But I've been able to mount that whole, file system on, on other computers like this one, and
Yeah. Well.
it's strange. I don't understand what's going on at all.
Mine was like, I'm telling you, it was like the easiest thing.
Really?
You just plug it in.
I wish it was the easiest thing. it's like my Raspberry Pi 2 is a lot easier than this. Because the 2 was like this until I figured out, it doesn't have a BIOS. And then after I put an operating Raspbian on it, and it was fine. Almost feels like I flashed the wrong architecture on it or something.
Otherwise, did you buy the SD card with the thing? With the Raspberry Pi?
That's a possibility. I mean, it's just a regular SanDisk
Well, this
card.
sometimes I don't know. I'll have to check mine.
All right, I got a new laptop. Sorry.